On August 8, 2020, Christina Lee submitted a FOIA request to LSE via whatdotheyknow.com, asking 3 questions relating to Ing Wen Tsai's PhD exam and LSE student record. LSE considered the request to be vexatious under Section 14(1) of the UK FOIA 2000. We have been made aware that there is the possibility that the LSE has been added to a list of targets to gain social credits in China. As such, we believe that your request and the others we received in this time period have not been made for just the purpose of receiving information but for personal gain. The Information Commissioner's Office had found FOIA requests in relation to Tsai's missing doctoral thesis or PhD degree as part of a concerted campaign. The intent of these requests is clearly to try to add weight to theories around the falsification of President Tsai's PhD, which have already been considered at length by the Commissioner and the Tribunal and found to be entirely lacking in substance, as well as to express dissatisfaction with the Commissioner's decisions in these matters and cause deliberate disruption to the ICO's services. On March 9, 2022, my society that operates whatdotheyknow.com accepted LSE's view and decided to treat the issue as mass misuse, more akin to spam or even a disinformation attack than to people making misguided requests. By then, they had banned 108 user accounts and removed more than 300 requests from the site and 1,640 comments from pages. Based on these conclusions made by LSE, ICO and my society, on July 12, 2022, the British Library found the FOIA request submitted on April 4, 2022, repetitive, lacking in serious purpose, and is likely to be part of a concerted and/or state-sponsored disinformation campaign designed to harass the President and Government of Taiwan, the UK public sector in general, and the British Library in particular. The state is apparently the People's Republic of China, PRC. What is the truth? Who provided state-sponsored disinformation? LSE sent its first reply to Wan Lin on June 4, 2019, disclosing that LSE Library has never had a copy of this thesis and Senate House apparently never received a copy and the IALS are unable to find their copy. This reply certainly confirmed Lin's suspicion that Tsai did not submit a final examined doctoral thesis for a PhD degree and invited him to send in more inquiries. On June 11, 2019, at 10:55, Fiona Metcalf assigned Daniel O'Connor to help Marcus Cerny formulate a response to external inquiries about Tsai's missing doctoral thesis and PhD degree. O'Connor is the first one to implicate that the PRC was involved with the inquiries about Tsai's missing doctoral thesis. He responded to his new assignment 2 minutes later, at 10:57, stating that, agents of the PRC working in the University of North Carolina. Wan Lin, a Taiwanese American and a professor at the University of North Carolina, Charlotte, is a Taiwan independence activist and once Tsai's supporter. Unlike many Taiwanese professors in the U.S., Lin has never accepted any invitations to visit China. The other PRC agent was most likely Chongqing Cao, a Chinese American. According to Wikipedia, Cao is a right-wing extremist who supports the Taiwan independence movement, Tibetan independence movement, and East Turkestan independence movement, which are the major challenges to the One China principle. He was also once a Tsai supporter and a commentator who frequently appeared on pro-Tsai Taiwanese news channels. Cao was interviewed by Dennis Pong on June 10, 2019, raising suspicions on the authenticity of Tsai's PhD degree. Tsai's missing doctoral thesis indeed ignited an academic firestorm in June 2019, but it was only an interest limited to Taiwan. LSE, O'Connor in particular, was aware of it. On June 11, 2019, at 14:15, O'Connor reported to his colleagues at LSE that the government-run Taiwan Central News Agency had just been in touch about Tsai's missing doctoral thesis. Based on the records provided by LSE in response to 2 FOIA requests, only Taiwanese media reported Tsai's missing doctoral thesis, including the government-owned Central News Agency in Taiwan, the Central News Agency English News Focus Taiwan, Taipei Times, Taiwan News Online, etc. LSE drafted the media statement on June 11, 2019. On June 12, 2019, the first news medium that received the media statement was the Taiwan People's Daily News. The purpose was to substitute the Taiwan People's Daily News report about Tsai's missing doctoral thesis released the day before. Fang Long-shi is Tsai's personal representative at LSE. On June 12, 2019, at 15:16, she reported to LSE regarding the anti-Tsai's camp. 1. Taiwanese nationalists who were against Tsai's policy beyond Chinese and Taiwanese nationalisms toward democracy. 2. Taiwanese independence fundamentalists who were against Tsai's policy in maintaining the status quo with China. And 3. Church members who were against Tsai's government which had passed same-sex marriage law. O'Connor knew the PRC was not involved. On July 19, 2019, he prepared a note for the School Management Committee, reporting that this issue is being led by political opponents of President Tsai and anti-Tsai online activists. It is relatively limited to anti-Tsai media in Taiwan. Given LSE and University of London's firm stance that the PhD was legitimate and additional evidence, such as the availability of the thesis copy, it is unlikely to break into any mainstream media. In addition, O'Connor's email on August 1, 2019, indicated that very few inquiries, only 2 or 3, were from the media. Most of the inquiries were sent from Taiwanese members of the public. O'Connor's email on September 11, 2019, at 11:36, confirmed that the inquiries were from Taiwanese citizens and they were able to point out perceived discrepancies. On October 1, 2019, O'Connor informed Kevin Haynes that there was a conspiracy theory going round parts of Taiwan that the president never got her PhD from LSE. On October 3, 2019, O'Connor emailed the executive assistant to the directorate, informing her that the inquiries about Tsai's missing doctoral thesis were effectively part of a fake news political campaign in Taiwan. Based on his chat with Fang Long-shi on June 11, 2019, Clive Wilson also knew that Tsai's missing doctoral thesis was a focus of the Taiwan press. On June 24, 2019, Wilson prepared Mark Thompson for the meeting that day. He stated that, on the 4th of June 2019, a junior colleague sent our standard text to a U.S. professor. He shared the text with some of his colleagues, and suddenly, it makes the Taiwanese news. However, only 4 days later, on June 28, 2019, Wilson's email to the British Library was, "I don't know if you know or not, but Ing-wen Tsai is the current president of Taiwan, so some Chinese journalists are making a big deal about her thesis being missing." Wilson's email to the British Library on September 25, 2019, stated that controversy over the thesis is still rumbling on in Taiwan. It proves that LSE, Wilson in particular, always knew that Tsai's missing doctoral thesis was of interest only in Taiwan. LSE began releasing the press statement confirming Tsai's 1984 PhD on June 12, 2019. The next day, on June 13, 2019, at 7:17 p.m., one of Tsai's supporters, T.S., emailed Wilson. In fact, the situation is much more complicated than Premier May in England or the current protest in Hong Kong due to the Chinese and panda huggers' interference. In any case, missing means it existed. That also confirmed that she had submitted the PhD thesis, and she graduated. One theory here is that the thesis might be stolen by a Chinese to spread rumor that Tsai concocted her degree to question her integrity. LSE's press statement and general response confirmed Tsai's PhD without answering any questions or proffering any evidence. It was doomed to invite even more questions. On July 7, 2019, at 10:58 p.m., before LSE catalogued Tsai's personal copy of the thesis, TS emailed Wilson again, suggesting how to end the speculations ASAP before The Guardian, New York Times, or Washington Post picked up the news story. TS copied in Christopher Hughes, Emeritus Professor of International Relations at LSE. Hughes responded on July 9, 2019, at 10:07 a.m. Things do go missing, and given Tsai's high priority, it is certainly possible that someone or some organization with bad intentions has taken the thesis from the library. Wilson emailed both of them at 11:21 a.m. LSE has made it very clear that the thesis was submitted properly and that the degree could not have been awarded without it. Some people should just learn how to read. To conceal the fact that LSE had no permission to digitize Tsai's personal copy of the thesis, the information provided by Wilson to TS and Hughes was, "Due to excessive interest we will not digitize it, though researchers will be very welcome to request it in our special collections reading room." 2 minutes later, Hughes responded, "It is an issue that is being dramatized and distorted for political reasons, so these steps should put the issue to rest." It appears that Wilson forwarded those email communications to O'Connor. At 11:36, O'Connor responded, "I would be amazed if The Guardian or NYT followed up with a story beyond a short, 'Oops, how embarrassing that they lost her PhD.' If our records say she graduated, they should take that as confirmation." Separately, Panda Huggers. When O'Connor identified Juan Lin as the PRC agent working in the University of North Carolina on June 11, 2019, at 10:57, Lin had sent at least 3 emails to LSE, checking on Tsai's missing doctoral thesis and PhD degree. To Clive Wilson, Lin's chasing was bordering on the rude. At 13:59, O'Connor suggested confirming Tsai's PhD. "We may need to be clear that all our official records indicate she did pass her PhD." At the time, LSE only had Simeon Underwood's email confirming Tsai's 1984 PhD based on Tsai's LSE student file and the list of 1984 PhD graduates found in the 1985-86 LSE calendar. According to the decision notice dated November 26, 2021, Tsai's LSE student file could not confirm Tsai's PhD because it did not have detailed information about PhD exam and PhD award. It was a knowledge readily available to the team responsible for responding to the inquiries, including O'Connor. In addition, the emails sent from LC at UOL on July 3, 2015 and June 11, 2019 never confirmed Tsai's PhD degree. UOL's response on January 11, 2022, admitted that UOL never received Tsai's examined doctoral thesis. However, on June 14, 2019, O'Connor responded to Juan Lin's enquiry, relying on the British Library ethos record of Tsai's thesis to prove the existence of Tsai's thesis in the Senate House Library. O'Connor also knew the list of 1984 PhD graduates in the 1985-1986 LSE calendar was not a smoking gun. He emailed the list to Lin to prove Tsai's 1984 PhD. Based on the list, Lin went through the hassle of checking the doctoral thesis of each 1984 PhD graduate on the Senate House Library online catalog. Except for Pauline Creasy, whose PhD was revoked in 1992, Tsai was the only one whose thesis could not be found in the Senate House Library online catalog. In response to O'Connor's email dated June 14, 2019, Lin raised more questions on June 21, 2019. On June 27, 2019, at 13:11, O'Connor drafted a response to Lin and circulated it for comments. The pertinent part is, you state that Clive Wilson and his colleague said the PhD thesis has never been received in 1984 by Senate House Library and IALS Library, in their initial response. This information does not appear to be correct. Apologies for the confusion. Colleagues have made further inquiries and Senate House Library records do indicate that a copy was received. Senate House also confirmed they sent their copy of the thesis to the Institute for Advanced Legal Studies, IALS, 35 years ago. 9 minutes later, at 13:20, Marcus Cerny responded, informing O'Connor that the thesis was actually sent to IALS in 2011. Cerny's instruction was, I would keep the date out of it and just say that Senate House Library confirmed they sent it to IALS. On July 2, 2019, at 12:06, Lynn emailed Wilson, requesting permission to disclose Wilson's name in articles Lynn planned to write and sought to get published in both English and Chinese-based newspapers. Lynn's request for disclosure of staff names triggered O'Connor's response to Lynn's enquiry dated June 21, 2019, and he considered that he might send a copy of his response to Lynn's departmental head at the University of North Carolina. Between 13:20 and 14:24, O'Connor sent his response to Lynn and the departmental head. Following Cerny's instruction, O'Connor's response omitted, 2011, a material fact. Colleagues have made further inquiries and Senate House's research degree unit records do indicate that a copy was received. Senate House also confirmed they sent their copy of the thesis to the Institute for Advanced Legal Studies, IALS. Lynn responded at 14:24, raising another question, the exact date when Tsai sent in her hardbound personal copy. Wilson's response at 15:01 was, and not that he asked but it should be catalogued tomorrow or Thursday. Of course he is going to love it when we say we are not digitizing it. LSE had no permission to digitize Tsai's personal copy of the thesis. However, on July 16, 2019, Wilson emailed Lynn, providing disinformation. It does not currently appear on LSE Theses Online as you suggest. This is purely a workflow issue as different teams are responsible for the different systems and it will be included there also. On July 2, 2019, O'Connor's reaction to Lynn's new questions was, I'll be honest. I am in no rush to reply to Lynn. He has proven himself to be a bad faith actor in most of his dealings. On August 5, 2019, O'Connor repeated his accusation, stating that Lynn does not appear to be acting in good faith in any of his correspondence. On August 29, 2019, Wan Lin's investigative report on Tsai's missing doctoral thesis and PhD degree was released in Taiwan. On October 1, 2019, at 9:24, Tsai's office emailed the English version of Lin's investigative report to LSE. On page 40 of the report, Lin stated, this public relations head, Mr. D.O., stated, the records of both the LSE and the University of London confirm that Tsai Ing-wen received a PhD in law in 1984, and the student record shows Tsai had submitted the dissertation. Obviously, this public relations head is lying. On page 42, Lin stated, this investigation's search results prove that the LSE Research Support Services library assistant was correct, and that LSE Public Relations head Mr. D.O. was clearly attempting to lie and cover up for Tsai Ing-wen. The evidence supports Lin's above findings. 2 emails sent by LC at UOL in July 2015 and June 2019, respectively, did not confirm Tsai's PhD degree. UOL's response on January 11, 2022, confirmed that UOL never received Tsai's examined doctoral thesis. O'Connor described Lin's report as long, rambling, and incoherent. He was not happy about Lin's repeated accusations that he was lying. However, his decision was, "As frustrating as this is, I am not sure it'll do much good to start issuing detailed denials, or to engage with Lin. He seemed to be a somewhat vindictive individual throughout the process." Wilson responded to Lin's report with a personal attack. One hopes his own doctoral research was of a higher standard than this report. Marcus Cerny's response was, "The addition of personal accusations of lying against identified individuals is something we haven't responded to, and we should keep an eye on this to make sure that these are addressed if necessary." In June 2019, the LSE Library collected a photocopy of Tsai's personal copy of the doctoral thesis missing 6 pages. LSE had repeatedly told the inquirers that LSE received a facsimile copy of Tsai's doctoral thesis. On August 5, 2019, Wan Lin flew to London and read Tsai's thesis in the special reading room of the LSE Women's Library. Clive Wilson's response shows that LSE was concerned about Lin's visit. "Lin apparently came to view the thesis whilst I was on leave and asked to see other theses from that period as well. I've asked colleagues to give me what information they can about when he came in and what he asked to see." On October 2, 2019, LSE received an email, warning that the photocopy of Tsai's personal copy of the thesis and the digital copy available on the website of the National Central Library were not identical. O'Connor finally revealed the truth. LSE only received a facsimile of Tsai's personal copy of the thesis. There were some missing pages from the copy LSE received from Tsai's office. He knew neither copy was the final thesis submitted in 1984. It was always Tsai's personal copy from 2019. The press statement released on the LSE official website on October 8, 2019, was drafted by O'Connor. Instead of a facsimile of Tsai's doctoral thesis, for the first time LSE admitted that Tsai only provided a facsimile of Tsai's personal copy of the thesis, but mentioned nothing about 6 missing pages. To LSE, O'Connor in particular, the inquirers who sent inquiries to LSE, questioning the existence of President Ing Wen Tsai's doctoral thesis or the authenticity of her PhD between June and October 2019, were trolls. The strategy was, do not engage. Do not feed them. And LSE considered the case closed, and the online press statement was its final word.